Hello and welcome to this demonstration of ArcGIS Urban. My name is Hunter Sinclair and I am a Hello, my name is Hunter Sinclair and this is a video about transportation tools and really just in a local context of Knox County. I have created a digital twin of Knox County that includes obviously the visual overlays, but also has the projects, land use, zoning information, and community indicators. So the projects just go over the overall tools here. The projects allow you to see all the ongoing projects throughout the focus area and at what stage they are. Now, this is a breakers layer mixed in with some custom content or and but this could be used for transportation projects or improve act projects, etc. And we go deeper into the Kearns Bakery plan. You can see that it's incorporated CAD drawings, CAD models. Now we can see this as a schematic massing, or you can see it with the 3D mesh overlay. Now, this is just the parking lot, but we can take it a step further and display our Revit designs, our CAD models, um, and you can split it up into what phase it's in, but also split it up by the different disciplines. So now you can open that up for public feedback. So once you have a plan for the streets and the building, you can open this for public feedback. There is different categories you can assign for feedback, such as, I think this is institutional, but I think there's 8 or 9 pre-made categories, but you can also create your own. All the comments can be downloaded out to ArcGIS Hub and included in, which also Hub gives access to surveying and field data collection. I'll get to that in a second. So there's a couple things beyond just visualization here that we can do. Analysis is measure distance, measure area. Those are semi self-explanatory. Line of sight is useful if you're trying to figure out what kind of scenic view you'll have. And as you can see, let's get really close down here and go right here on top of the railing. So if you were standing right there, and as you can see, our view of kind of the bigger buildings in downtown are even obstructed here. So you do not have a great view of downtown, but you do have a good view of the Sun Sphere, which is nice. So you can see different points of view. You can see Thompson Bowling Arena and Neyland Stadium. So very very useful tool to see the impacts of proposed designs, proposed developments on scenic corridors. And the other tool I want to talk about is the splice tool. So you can take cross sections. So if you're doing even if a road design or a building that's being proposed, you can cross section it and actually see all the different details that's normally included in the Revit models can be brought to life and looked through by your stakeholders on the fly in a web-based platform. We can change the time of day, do shadow and daylight analysis, and also the month of the year. Now, if this isn't realistic enough and interactive enough, you can drop down to street level. So bring in street level imagery and see your proposed development side by side with existing conditions. So we'll pop out of this, and next we'll look at the plans. Plans are made up of two types, land use plans and zoning plans. Within each plan, you can propose developments based on your zoning codes or proposed zoning codes. So let's look at the Innovation District here. We can open this scenario and what that does, it enables us to see the underlying zoning codes and constraints and data that could inform this plan. So we can select a parcel and we can do a couple different things. We can select parcels by suitability attribute. So you can give it a development score, or you can generate your own. So you can locate parcels that are significant to your plan on the fly. Since this is a small area, there's no need to do that. But you could do this for the county-wide model to identify parcels that match certain criteria that support your plans or proposals. You can split a parcel. You can merge them back together. You can retire parcels. You can add new. And you can make a grid out of a parcel if you're dealing with a large parcel and just want kind of a blocky schematic. We can auto-allocate different buildings, and we can see the different space uses that we propose. So let's switch to, well, let's go ahead and build a building here. And out of the box, you come with over 40 different types of building, from low-rise residential to high-rise office and everything in between. You can create your own buildings simply by giving it a name. So we'll call this the test. And you can change by the different space uses that are allowed under Knox County zoning. And each one of these space uses generates capacity metrics based off American Planning Association averages and governmental sources based on average uses, job types, etc. Now we can add a part above and add diversity into this scene. So the first floor was an art gallery, and the second floor we can turn into residential. Now coming back to this, we can add a part below and give it a basement. And we can just make this parking. We'll hit OK. And then we'll assign our test to the parcel. Now we can play with the shape of the parcel and the zoning to get a form that is more likely to happen, such as, well, first we're going to look at the capacity metrics. So based off our APA averages and Department of Energy, um, utilities, so we can generate water usage, daily trips, uh, required parking spots, generated parking spots based on these proposals. Now moving forward to a more finished product, you can see the impacts of high quality mixed use development and the different metrics that it generates. Now, playing with the zoning here, you can see, well, the buildings themselves are governed by the underlying zoning. So we can go to our zoning level, and we'll modify, and we'll look at the South Knox Waterfront 6 uh, zoning type. It allows a floor area ratio of 11, a very high maximum height, tiers and setbacks, interior, front, and then you can also add sky planes and secondary tiers to add complexity to the building. So we'll alter this, and as you can see, the building will change based on the new zoning types. Now, looking at a transit plan, I've been working on a light rail transit system for Knoxville as part of my thesis and ongoing community advocacy. And so I mainly use ArcGIS Urban to look at transportation planning scenarios. So this is a little used branch line going to from where the new baseball stadium will go all the way to downtown Maryville. And it goes right along Alcoa Highway, which is one of the busiest highways in the state of Tennessee, and certainly our region. And so what I've done is I've made a series of plans attempting to understand if the corridor itself could house the next 100,000 population that's projected to grow in the Knoxville area in the next couple of decades. So let's look at some of our context. I'm able to do advanced analysis in GIS and then incorporate that directly into ArcGIS Urban. So let's find our drive times. So based on congestion reporting and sidewalks and access, we can determine the average drive time between the transit stops. So we, in theory, could see where all of the population of people lived within a 5 or 10-minute drive of a transit stop, which could inform future land use and zoning decisions were this plan to take effect. Beyond drive time, we can generate walk time buffers around each station. So this allows us to see a 5, 10, and 15-minute walk surrounding the transit stations. This would inform a more high-dense, mixed-use, city-like urban planning area. Now, using this information in this analysis, we can compare this to the bus service. So this is the CAT service line, and as you can see, Knox County is fairly well serviced with a 5-minute walk time to any bus station. The only real problem with the Knoxville bus line is that it takes so long to get where you're going. So sometimes it's beyond just walkability with transportation analysis and understanding how to improve things. We can bring in, so we'll turn off our walk times, and so we can bring in our different capacity metrics. Now, we'll get back to some of these here in just a second. Right now, I wanted to open up a plan. So just like with the example we used a few seconds ago, we're going to look at how this area can redevelop. And as you can see, this is a mass density scene with tons of trips, which shows an extreme scenario. But we're going to look at something a little more likely. This is a land use scenario, so you can actually paint on parcels different ideas and current conditions within the area of interest. You can see that I've kind of iterated a creative district, maybe have some painters and artists, kind of area down here along a preserved green space and riverwalk that looks back at the university and the Knoxville skyline. Now, on top of that, as you can see, I've put some massing models. So we'll open it up and explore it a little bit further. So you can see that I've clipped out the park over here so you can easily see the greenways proposed and the connectivity with the transit station. You can see the different capacity metrics that are generated. Now, those capacity metrics like population and jobs and daily trips are not isolated to that plan. They can be downloaded in Excel style out of the engine itself and included in further analysis, such as taking those population metrics and binding them to either TAZ zones or to census blocks, which would allow for more interactive interaction style analysis and transportation modeling, things like that based on increased population and modal split. Now, this isn't limited to the light rail corridor. I've also proposed bus rapid transit along the Pellissippi, an air tram to connect the airport, circulator trolley within the city of Alcoa, current transportation projects, so a green line running along the light rail. We have the existing streets, existing greenways and trails, different stations. And so now, as you can see under this plan, we can start at the hospital in Oak Ridge and ride transit all the way to the airport. We could get on an intermodal hub here of some sort, an air tram, that connects the bus rapid transit, the airport, and a major highway destination or flow to a light rail line that could take you to downtown Maryville and all the way down to the proposed ballpark in the old city. Which that's a little bit hard to see. When you open up the plan, it removes the buildings, but you can see I've put in what is available there. I would love to get the 3D model, would be great. And really, schematic allows you to see your data just a little bit easier without, in a little bit of planar format, like a traditional map. And you can also go to 2D mode and see things much more traditionally. So leaving that on just for a little while, I'm going to show some different maps here. So this is a tax value map by acre in Knoxville, Tennessee. So not only looking at what possible linkages and their accessibility based on walk times and drive times and how they would all link up, we can also study its impact on community budgets. So we'll let this load. It takes a little bit more time because I'm also streaming here. So we can see the impact of low density residential development out at the periphery. And so one thing I think would be worth looking at is studying the tax value versus the cost to build new roads and upgrade roads and maintain roads. And my assumption is that these low intensity tax uses may or may not justify the infrastructure costs to the community at large. And this is taking quite some time. I'll reduce the area of interest here to see if it'll, yes, looking a little bit better. And as you can see, the schematic massings, while not as realistic, they're LiDAR derived, so they are very accurate in terms of where they're at and their dimensions, and it also does pretty well at getting roof forms right. Not all the time, but it does a pretty good job. And now you'll see there are some that may or may not make a whole lot of sense here. You would think that this would be kind of looking like these, but as you can see, they've actually made the parcels very small. And so the condos themselves, it appears, actually belongs to some other individual, and then this broader area is not counted the same way. So sometimes you gotta kind of understand what the map is, what gaps in your data, and how they may have set up the parcels themselves. Now, looking at our only high density mixed use area of Knoxville, we can see like in downtown. And actually, I'm going to put the satellite back on because you can see them painted on the big buildings a lot better. So you can see the impact of high density mixed-use development is very tax productive, large buildings. And you can see the gaps where you've got the university, civic buildings, World's Fair Park that do not pay taxes. So yeah, so this is valuable. Going back to our indicators list, we have education, population change, population density, all of this I'm definitely looking to unify with the 2020 census as all that data becomes available. And we also have access. So being able to access health, being able to access parks, being able to access fire services, emergency services of all types, but also more human scale things like food. So this is a map, and it's taking a second to load up here. As long as it will load up, of accessibility to public parks. And as you can see, there's tons of different metrics we can bring in: COVID-19 data, economic and community development projects. Um, we also have historic districts. Take a second for those to pop up. There they are. Also significant ecological information, so protection areas. Projected change in households and jobs based on our proposals. So this is ArcGIS Urban, and unifies with GIS data analysis, census information, gives powerful planning tools for evaluating transit and transportation, land use and zoning. And all of this is web hosted. Can be accessed from anybody with a smart device that is granted access. So you can share out a link, you can embed into a current website. Now there's a couple other things here. So there's a few other things I would like to show here. So once we've done some cool work in ArcGIS and analysis, I've been able to take the transit line and turn it into a simulation. So right now we're in World's Fair Park, as you can see down here at the bottom. The next will be Neyland Express, and so you can actually ride the train, get a feel for the different uh, turns and speeding and scheduling, frequency, but also as we're going to see here in just a few seconds. I'm going to skip ahead here because we don't need to watch the entire uh, but you can see where you may need to do passing sightings based on the train coming at you because it's currently a first one. So you can do scheduling, evaluate car performance, and yeah, really visually compelling ride-alongs. All adds into yeah. So this allows us to look at, like I said, different cars and how they would perform. So you can see our rail line here in the simulation scheduler here allows us to look at different cars, their performance metrics. Once we have established our plans, established our rail line, and start looking at frequencies and schedules, we can actually bring in the Knoxville GTFS data, which you can see here. I've imported it from their data. You can see all their trip IDs, their stops, and what I've been able to do is take my proposals for transit in Knoxville and actually add my own. So based off the scheduling that I've created, I've been able to add my transit line and its schedule to the broader GTFS data set for Knox Area Transit. I can then export this back out, hand this over to transportation modelers, people that are planning transit lines, and see where everything can kind of work together. Furthermore, I have worked, I was an intern at the Tennessee General Assembly, and during my time there, I was the committee intern for the Transportation Committee in the House. So I worked on this piece of legislation, which is essentially allowing um, cities to form transit improvement district acts, which is essentially a CBID, a tax increment financing mechanism for transit. And in in the first line here, in conjunction with the Regional Transportation Authority. So very much what I think is the current conversation about regional transit authority and all that, and what would that mean, and how could they make establish financial different improvements and boundaries, etc. So some great content already made on the policy side, the visualization side, the analysis side, the planning side. So yeah, a lot of great things here. Now this can be taken out directly to CAD engines. So I'm gonna open up. So these tools give us Also, with ArcGIS Hub, it allows you to uh, really enhance your community engagement capability. It allows citizens to get involved on their own time and contribute and be knowledgeable about projects. Uh, it offers surveys, reporting, field data collection, such as riding along with buses, to get gathering capacity metrics. You can open that up to the community. You can have every rider do it. Um, Outsourcing data collection, getting the community involved, getting them excited. And really, it offers planners powerful tools to not only generate the capacity metrics they need to justify their assumptions and their proposals, but offers them project tracking and easy data viewing and visualization for sharing with the public. Doing your work and showing your work at the same time. Easy visualization and sharing of widely compatible 3D content. So, and it's built for COVID in a completely web-hosted platform that allows remote collaboration, remote viewing, remote interaction. So these tools, like Urban, are directly exportable to architectural rendering engines, such as City Engine, Lumion. Uh, the, it, and here in a second, in the next one, I will show. Go one more. It goes right out to video game design. Skip that one. Oh, not doing this very good. So you can see virtual reality experiences. Uh, we'll try to go back to the video game. So you can take these blocks out, these snippets of areas, and put them directly into uh, a interactive experience. So they're not isolated from Excel all the way to, and these are not my slides. I'm not a video game designer. Although I have done some light importing to this, it would be something that would, probably take a little more capacity to take, you know, I have the software and it is possible. It's not exactly what I do. Uh, Virtual reality, same thing. I've made a couple, and something that it is possible, directly exportable, but not exactly something that I work on a daily basis. But it is a capability of the engine. So I think I've talked enough about the tools, and I tried to be as thorough as possible. I didn't even go into City Engine or some of the other things that I can do, just because I didn't want to just overload on stuff. Um, yeah, so I'm, like I said, I've attended conferences and training, transportation research boards, the Geodesign Summit, I'm involved with the light rail project, involved with community groups that are working towards, good planning, but also, really the bulk of my research and etc. looks at how Knoxville has transitioned from the streetcar kind of city, walkable, transit-oriented city just in 1920 when some of these pictures were taken, to, and look at the impact it had, very vibrant, densely populated area. Uh, you can see, you know, just 100 years ago in 1920, uh, the population density around a transit stop. The entire city of Knoxville was within a walking buffer of a transit stop, other than these smaller, some of these unserved areas out here on the periphery. With very few people, the bulk of Knoxville's population and jobs were all accessed by streetcars. And, it's changed, into, this sprawling, car-centric, auto-centric place that we know today. And it's had terrible impacts on our built environment. Some of our most architecturally significant buildings are now parking lots. So, um, this is just some of the uh, things that auto dependency, low density sprawl has caused. I'm not going to go through these, but I'm just going to kind of leave this video with some of the things that we're confronting or other cities are confronting as a result of auto dependency and lack of coordination and planning and development. So yeah, um, this is ArcGIS Urban. I hope you liked the tools. I hope you liked where we could go. This platform is flexible. It holds all sorts of data, and I think I would love to see where this can be used, on a regional level to affect big change and propose new solutions.